Okay, we're live.
Live?
I think so.
Look at that hair. Dang, look at that hair.
Dude, like Joe? Hello? Hello?
Howdy, howdy, ho.
I think Joe took a blow dryer and blow dried his hair all morning to get it turned to the side.
Kyle and Brittany
Other side.
both said,
No, not that. Turn. No, other side. Look at that. Dude, this guy was like straight up trying to look like some like 60s rom-com like show to something like that.
First off, so today at work it rained for like an hour and a half. And then it it warmed up, so it kind of got
I
humid.
didn't even think it rained.
And so it did. Ask my dad and ask my brother. So between the rain and it getting humid afterwards, my hair really went full crazy. But yeah, we're about an hour late. Sorry for that. Kyle and I were talking very important things coming up. So
Biden. He's your dad, right?
Biden?
Yeah, you named after him.
Oh yeah, Joe Biden, my daddy. I'm like Biden. Yeah. So my dad just banned TikTok today.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He banned TikTok.
Yesterday, Congress, I believe, signed it, passed it, and then today.
I mean, be like your own talk show here soon. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then today, I believe it went to his desk to get signed, and then he signed it. So, who knows?
About time. Everybody that sweated and was giving their souls up on TikTok is now all for nothing.
Well, do you know what's funny?
Even though they didn't get paid for it anyway.
I know.
Right?
Their RPM, so their payout for every 1,000 views on TikTok was like $1. Well, it was between $0 and $2. Whereas YouTube is like, the minimum is like gaming channels because there's so many of them, and they're like $5, $6, $10, like
per 1,000 views.
Per 1,000 views. But yeah, TikTok is so low. But it's funny because on Instagram I saw an ad about people against banning TikTok, and it was like this farmer, super blue collar guy that was like, TikTok has changed my life, has changed my business life, and I'm like, you're choosing a very blue collar career and a farmer to advocate for Joe Biden and TikTok. It was a very weird kind of combination
it's a lot
things.
Of contradicting ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd think, but I mean, you're allowed to have your own ideas and opinions about anything you want, but yeah, you think that the norm in that particular circumstance isn't usually in the direction he was facing.
Yeah,
everybody else is going this way,
yeah,
and he was going straight between them.
Yeah, and I was like, I feel like you could have
took long enough.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
We were actually talking about breakfast.
Breakfast. We're talking
What's
about
going on here.
Yeah, breakfast. So we were talking about the truck. We were talking about a timeline. We were talking about a realistic timeline. We were talking about something that just came up this week about the truck.
Business.
I won't name companies. I won't name anyone. But we were asked to take the truck to SEMA, so that was pretty cool. But there's a lot of things that go into it. There's a lot of pros that we talked about it. There's a lot of cons that go into it, and so yeah, we were literally talking about that for like 45 minutes.
Classic Car Arrival says, hello guys, awesome build.
Hey, thank you, we appreciate that. It's been a fun project. That
should be my new job. I should just read everybody's comments.
Kyle's just the comment guy. It's been a ton of fun. It's been a long project. Kyle is the man. Ask him technical questions, don't ask me. But yeah, thank you. We appreciate it, and hopefully there's many more projects to come after this guy. Yeah, there should be.
We're gonna be able to keep the shop full for a couple of years.
Yeah,
or for another 5 years at least.
Or until
I get a bigger shop and hire a bunch of people. But
yeah, I know it is kind of crazy. Some of the YouTube people that I like to watch. One guy in specific, it started with him just doing projects for like probably 4 or 5 years. And he's very successful at YouTube. And now it's literally 2 other guys doing all the work, and he just does the voiceover. So I'm like, oh, that kind of sucks. But if you run your YouTube channel like a business, which it is, especially for these large, massive YouTube channels, I guess he is like the owner per se, so you pretty much contract out all the work and reap your reward.
You know what a dream of mine is? I've had this for a long time, but I've never told anybody because I always thought people would think it was stupid.
Oh, I can't wait to tell you it's stupid.
So, if I ever got like a big enough following to where a streaming service, because this is like before Joe and I met, if I ever got like a streaming service to make enough money that it paid all my bills and everything I needed, and I didn't have to worry about anything else. I would want to have my channel, YouTube, or whatever it was, do sponsor videos where we would take requests for people that know that someone who is having a hard time with their life, needs a car that needs repaired, and just needs an extra hand, because like when people are down at that bottom level and they need a little bit of help, like the last thing to get done is going to be fixing their car, but that's like the first thing that's going to help them through getting through that hard time, right? So I would want to dedicate like a portion of the channel to specifically find these people that need that hand. Just take the car, pay for the parts, get all the little things that need to be fixed. Not just restore their car to like 100% like pristine condition, but just fix it so it's a decent car again, and then just give it back. Yeah. And just be like, oh no, we did this because your friends and family support me. And then them just be like, oh shit. That would be, I think, it would be like a cool version of Pit My Ride, but you're not really doing a Pit My Ride. Like, you're literally taking someone's car for the day, fixing what needs to be fixed so it's a reliable car, and then just giving it back. Yeah. Regardless of what it is. Yeah. It needs an engine, transmission, or it needs a brake job, tank leaks, door falls off, just something like that. Just find something, like a sponsor video. That would be what I would want to do. Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have projects that A, don't have the time, A, don't have the money, or A, don't have the know-how, but it has like some sentimental value. Like, oh, this is my dad's truck, or this is my dad's Chevy Nova, or like whatever. So it'd be cool to like get it up and running in a day or 2 days or in a weekend. Well, thank you. The grill has turned out better than Kyle and I both had kind of hoped for. It actually turned out really nice, to be 100% honest with you.
I think we'll get it. We'll get it figured out.
Once it's welded out, powder coated or painted, and then with a bumper and a brush guard, it's going to look nice. I am so stoked about it. It looks very, very good. Actually, today on Instagram, I had this massive Instagram page repost my reel of the grill. And the guy was complimenting us the whole time. I'll have to show you after this live. But he said it looks like a factory option from Ford. And so I sent him a couple pictures of it done, and with the wider fenders, of the grill, like its current state. But the grill at its current state with the bigger bump or the bigger fenders and stuff like that, it looks very proportionate, and so it looks good. I'm not trying to toot ourselves toot our own horns or pat ourselves on the back, but it looks good for what we had to do and kind of the circumstances with it. So we're happy. We're beyond happy. And we're going to be able to maintain temperatures while we drive the truck. So
we'll be able to load this thing down 100% load all day long.
Just
let it go.
I just get so confused about people that do these swaps, and they're like, well, I don't have AC. Well, I can't tow very much. Oh, I can't drive it for more than a couple hours because it overheats. I'm like, why would you put all this time and effort and money into a project that you have all these handicaps with? So
I would sacrifice a little bit of the looks of a pickup over to have functionality out of it. And I think that goes into like a big part. Most people that have pickup trucks or are in the truck world would sacrifice a little bit of the exterior look of a truck to have a more reliable or something that benefits the reliability or the travel or something to do with the actual truck portion. I think more of the look section is where you get more like hot rod and like rice burner. Is that racist?
Rice burner? I don't. YouTube's
because
gonna
YouTube's
gonna get rid of this video.
Well, you're calling it like foreign, 4-cylinder like cars, like they're not made in America. They're
imports.
They're literally imports.
Yeah, I always thought rice burners were like the Honda Civics of the world. Is it slang?
Honda Civics, Nissans, like that's
like lowered Ford Focuses, hatchbacks, Nissans. Maybe it's slang. I don't know.
Maybe I'm just insensitive.
Maybe.
But solid ferret.
It's
agree. Also gonna throw codes with a different grill.
I don't know if it would it throw codes with the factory grill. There's no wiring going to it. Who knows?
Oh, are you saying with like a different coolers and stuff like that?
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah, because you're not gonna be having because the other ones we were looking at, they weren't running the secondary water pump. So there's sensors on there. It's got to have a coolant temperature sensor for that. Like there's it's kind of interesting.
Well, and one of the guys I know, we believe it's the thermostats that are also a part of the secondary cooler. So if you have no thermostats, I don't know how you maintain temperatures.
Cooling package? Okay.
Anyways.
So. Yeah, the truck was built to have that specific cooling package. So what I'd say, if you were able to do it right, say you had an unlimited budget, I would take it to a local radiator company, give them the dimensions of a radiator that you want them to build. They could build you a radiator. And then what they need to know, and you just have to figure out the specs, you'd be like, all right, I have this first radiator core, and it needs to cool, 45,000 BTUs per hour, per minute, or whatever it is. If you can give them that spec, they can build you a radiator that'll match to get it to fit, right? But then it comes, let's say you go through all that work. Well, then you have to figure out a fan system, because now your fan system is not going to work. It's not going to be an electric, or not electric fan. It's not going to be a belt-driven viscous fan hub off the engine anymore. So then now you're going to be looking up for electric fans. Okay, well, how are those electric fans can be controlled? Then you have to look into doing a thermostat temperature switch that's going to have to wired into a auxiliary thermostat, or a temperature or a thermometer or temp sensor, so it can read and send it to a different box just off an auxiliary circuit, so it can tell electric fans just to carry. So then you basically start start moving the project to like it could be a lot bigger.
Downhill,
yeah, well, not downhill, but yeah, you end up running to a lot more stuff that you have to aftermarket. You have to do aftermarket wise instead of just some custom fab work.
Well, and what Kyle and I have talked about also is like,
because I have one of those switches.
Yeah,
I actually have a box where it literally you plug it into a temp sensor, and it says, and then you wire in everything, and then you pull out the two plugs, and then based off the resistance, it'll change the voltage to the fan to bump it up, and it's like a box about this big. So it's like, it's possible. It's just one of those things. It's something else to do that's aftermarket.
Yeah. Well, like what Kyle and I have talked about before and joked about it, like Ford put in years and years and years into development and probably billions of dollars to have this dual coolant package set up. And I don't claim to be smarter than Ford's engineers. So why are we going to mess with a factory coolant package if we don't have to? And so this grill allows us to kind of keep everything a plug-and-play system, transfer everything over from the donor truck into this truck. And listen, at the end of the day, if it looks super horrendous and super ugly, which I don't think it does, and neither does Kyle, worst case scenario, in a year from now, or if we absolutely hate it, we get rid of the grill, we get rid of the secondary, and we do some hardcore research on how to make this truck maintain temperatures by getting rid of the secondary. But for now, I love it. I think it looks so cool.
So one of the sole reasons Ford went to a water after cooler for the charge air temperature is because water to air is one of for cost wise is one of the fastest ways to drop temperature, is if you have water going through tubes and air going across.
it drops it the fastest. It's able to exchange the heat faster than doing air to air. Because like normal trucks, like Dodge pickups and GMCs, they run the charge air to a cooler. That's just like a radiator. It pumps the air through, and then you're trying to use the outside ram air to come across the radiator and cool the cooler quick enough so it cools the air going through. Where if there wasn't any air going through and it was coolant, and then you have a separate cooler that's now coolant going through those tubes and hot air going around them, it does the same thing. So now, then you have basically coolant getting circulated around that's probably getting a max temperature of like 180, 200 degrees, probably dropping close to 120, 100, 100 degrees or something like that, or even lower. Full load, like just pull the like max load, like this thing's already been up the temperature, going back in and cooling that 300 degree 300, it's probably around 300 400 degree charge air temperature coming in. Charge air temperature gets hot, coming in gets cooled through that cooler because it's only 100 degrees, drops to like, I don't know, probably 150 160 or something like that, and then goes into the engine and everything else. So it's a faster way, because if it was just an air-to-air system and you're already taking that 400 degree air and shoving it into an air-to-air system that already has a hot summer day of 100 degree air trying to come through, you'd be lucky to keep it down below 160. And then at that point, when you start running temperatures over 160 degrees air in temperature on any diesel engine, you're, depending on if you have an aftermarket tuner, you're gonna run the risk of your cylinder temperatures just getting too dang hot, to where you start melting pistons. Yeah. There's a lot of issues that you start doing at that point. So I think Ford did the smart way. It's a more efficient way if you build the system right, and I think Ford built the system right. And everybody says the 6.7's like a piece of crap, but I think all the new engines in every diesel pickup platform is a piece of crap, and it has nothing to do with the engine themselves. I think Chevy, I think Ford, I think Dodge all build a really good diesel engine. I think the only issue to every single one of those is the after treatment they have to stack onto it for emission purposes. I think if you didn't have a world without emissions, every single one of those trucks would probably get 4 to 6 miles per gallon more, and you'd have less issues with them breaking down, and they'd last to the point, I think they just wear out the frame before you'd probably wear out the engine. I think that's where technology's at now. Honestly, I think all these companies with their diesel engines could probably build an engine that will run 400,000 miles, with obviously basic repairs. Everybody's gonna be doing fuel systems and stuff like that, every 150 to 200 miles and a transmission here and there, but that's pretty normal.
That's also just like maintenance, right? That comes along with owning a truck or any vehicle, essentially.
Yeah, I don't care if you have a standard or if you have an automatic. At about 160,000 miles or more, you're either going to be putting a clutch in it or you're going to be doing a transmission. Mm-hmm. And usually an automatic transmission, sometimes they'll last you, around 250,000 miles before you're doing it. And to me, I think that's a fair investment. If you buy a brand new pickup and you put 200,000 miles on that thing before you put a brand new transmission in there, I think you've gotten your money out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And same with the clutch. I think if you go 160,000 miles on a clutch,
because what does the average person put on a vehicle every year? 10,000 miles? That's like high, I think.
No, well, so me, I drive 40 miles a day, 5 days a week. What is that? 200 miles.
We'll do them. Yeah.
Hey, pull up a calculator. Let's do this. Say I drove my diesel pickup every day.
Okay.
So
200 miles a week.
Yeah, 40 miles a day times 5, which is what 200. 200 times 4 times 12. And say I put an extra say I put an extra 5,000 miles in like travel, going camping, doing extra stuff, going up in the, stuff like that per year.
Which I feel like is high as.
That's which
yeah.
to me that's about normal. Say 14, 15,000 miles a year, if I'm driving my truck every single day. So what you're saying is I've only changed my oil, 3 times that year.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
No.
5,000 miles. Every 5,000 miles in a diesel pickup, you're about changing your oil. I know some people go further than that, but I do it every 5,000. I would do it 5,000 on every diesel pickup I own.
Yeah, so you're looking at 5 to 6 years before really, maybe even longer, before any like big financial issues come about. Which is a very long time.
Yeah, at that point, most pickups you should probably have paid off.
Yeah.
Right.
Technically, if you have a 5-year loan, you should have it paid
off. A 5-year loan. Some of them, I know some of them they're doing like 7 and 8. So like, you only have 3 years and then at that point, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad.
No. You're putting in $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for a transmission job for a vehicle that's paid off. A lot cheaper than going out to buy a new truck or a used truck for that matter. Used trucks nowadays are super crazy expensive.
They're getting back up there again because I think the new market's so saturated now.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it is wild to go shopping anywhere with my wife on the weekend and then like the majority of cars are like 4-year-old cars.
Yeah.
Like we're one of those people now. But
what year's her Ford?
14.
Dang.
And
10
the Dodge
years old,
the Dodge is an 03.
Dang.
That's
Gramps out there.
21 years old. My truck is finally legal to drink. So the integrity of that truck is just gonna go downhill now. It's able to consume, so it's no longer gonna be reliable.
Drive to work tomorrow, just gonna take a shit on you. But
where do you look? Lendio, as a loan marketplace, has facilitated over.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the 8th episode of our F750 CrewCab build series.
That man's got a
In
haircut.
the previous episode, you saw us bring our cab back into place and mock up the front clip of this truck, which means in today's episode, we're gonna gut the interior of this thing. After that, we're gonna try to figure out how to bring all the modern amenities of a Super Duty and put it into a dense site crew cab. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Stay tuned.
Is that too loud, by the way? I need to turn that down.
All right, you guys, first up for today is we're just gonna start gutting this thing, right? I already got all of the door panels off, all the interior components for. Oh, I lied. All of them except for the one seized door that Kyle just opened. Attaboy, Kyle.
It's kind of weird to see a complete truck.
So I already got all the internal
Complete
components.
truck.
I've never seen
components
seats in
for
there.
the window, the interior channels for that, all the door lock and hinges mechanisms. All that is off. All these doors are pretty clean.
The dark days of nothing to it but to do it. Yeah, I overused that statement a little bit. I used to have someone comment on like every single video. It's like, dude, quit saying it, quit saying it, quit saying it. So I very rarely say it now, huh?
Really?
I feel like I say it like once or twice during an episode, but that's about it. Oh, I
remember I asked Joe. You remember what you told me when I asked you? I was like, because I remember he like when he finally got comfortable in filming in front of me.
Oh, so
to be honest, Joe was kind of
I was
nervous
shy
to film in front of me, which is to be honest, we were kind of a new acquaintance.
Okay, time out before you finish that. If we were like friends beforehand, I probably would have done like more updates and like talked in front of you. But it was like no friendship, very new acquaintances, plus new at YouTube. It was a bad combination. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, but anyway, so it was I kind of asked him. You remember what you saw when I asked you the first time? I was like, "Where'd you get that?" You got it from somebody.
I think I got it from. Did I tell you who I got it from?
Your dad.
Did I say that? My dad?
I thought so. This is also we're also talking about like 2 years ago.
I don't know who I got it from.
I thought you told me you got it cut from your dad because your dad would say it sometimes. He'd be out working and then he'd be like, "Well, there's nothing to it but to do it."
I've heard him say that before. I haven't heard him say it in a while, but my dad's also 67, so maybe that cognitive memory has dwindled. I only know one other person that I kind of heard would say it, and I saw a random video on like Instagram of this chick who's a competitive eater, A competitive eater. And I think I heard her say it once, and I was like, oh. But yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it should be a common enough saying. I don't think anybody.
Yeah, no one's coined it. No
I
one's.
don't think anybody's
Yeah.
coined it.
No.
Coined the phrase. If so, we apologize. But
Yeah.
we use it anyway.
It's all copyrighted and all this monetization.
Cease and desist.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna get a letter here in a couple of days. Quit saying that.
What I was gonna tell you. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Because basically it's our own little talk show, right?
At this point, yeah.
Just recently, the law got passed that businesses can no longer
I saw that.
require you to can put in contracts. It's no longer legal to have a non-compete in their contracts now. So I was like, dang.
Yeah.
That is going to upset so many companies because now you can go work for somebody, and if someone comes by and says, "Hey, we'll pay you more," they're gonna get up and leave.
Oh yeah.
And because now that there's no longer a non-compete.
Well, a lot of non-competes too are like you sell a company. Say you and I manufactured something. Say you and I freaking invented something.
You have to sell it under the condition you're not going to make
yeah,
it
exactly.
product
So it's like
because you're already going to make something better than what you already made.
Exactly.
Before.
So it's like Kyle and I invented these headphones, right? We sell it to Micron or Microsoft or whatever, right? And they're like, we're going to buy this company, but we're signing a do not compete. Like, you cannot manufacture headphones anymore. And we're like, oh, dang, okay, we'll take our $10 million.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be like, all right, you guys have fun with that. I'm now your competitor tomorrow because I've just filed for a new company name. Yeah,
I think that's going to make ingenuity of all the products go back up, though.
Yeah.
I feel like manufacturing and all these other aftermarket companies are going to be able to ramp up because there's no longer going to be a do not compete for their previous employees.
Because think of all the people that invented something and then they sold out. Not saying sell out as in bad, right? If I was an inventor, right, and you make something that people want and you sell to a big company, that's like your Super Bowl, right? That's like kind of what you're after. But no one's gonna love that product or that invention or like want to make it better more than the inventor themselves, right? A big company that's gonna have, someone that's overlooking the product and a team of people, they don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
The person that invented it is like, this is my baby. This is what I spent 10 years on or 5 years or whatever. So the fact that that person can now go out and be like, well, I want to make this better. Now, things that'll affect it are patents, trademarks, copyrights, because you can't make the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But if there's none of that stuff, then it's just going to be a free reign, open market, go to town.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway.
And so next up is we're just going to kind of take it one bite at a time, clearing this all out. And we have to figure out how we're going to place and where we're going to place.
I paused it because I was going to point. Look how close the heater core and stuff are close to the feet. So I think we're going to be doing pretty good.
Yeah. That was one thing since we used this 2016 HVAC system, like the heater core and everything like that. I don't know if Kyle's been stressing, but me, I kept thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, dude, that's going to be so close. That's like, look how much of it is exposed. But it's not anything more than the factory heater.
Yeah. Like, you can literally see the motor.
Yeah.
The motor's right there for the
Look at us. Look at us doing stuff.
All of our HVAC, things like
That's
that.
ghetto.
And,
that's like a horn. Or is that a motor? I can't
tell. But first thing we got to do is obviously gut this thing, bring it down. We have a lot of parts coming for this. All the interior rubber, all the seals, everything for the windows, the doors, new carpet.
I still have all that stuff just in boxes.
What we're going to do first is we're actually going to take these seats out because I got to send these out to an upholsterer and start getting them upholstered. So that's what we're doing first. And after that, we're going to keep chugging along. So there's nothing to it but to do it.
There we
Sorry
go.
I'm echoing because it sounds like I am, but let's get on it.
Did you see me just looking at you?
Kyle's like, hurry up. I just want to.
Dude, I was just like. Guys.
So,
watch my face.
And after that, we're gonna keep
like resting
along,
bitch face right here.
Nothing to it but to do it. Sorry if I'm echoing,
you smile.
But
look.
Let's get on it.
I think it's the one where you say it like a million times.
Oh, probably. I never.
This truck was nasty, by the way.
Dude, remember that back corner over here?
I know.
We found like 7 bird nests all in one location. It was disgusting, and a couple of dead baby birds.
Yeah, look at this.
I'm just lucky all the trim is intact and nice.
Joe's like up there, like getting on this bench on all this bird poop with his niece and
Aw.
stuff.
Yeah, look how much of that heater is exposed. That's a ton of it.
Yeah. A lot. I wonder if we could find these plastic pieces.
Oh yeah. Actually, I have some pictures, screenshots to show you after we're done of someone that they swapped a Raptor interior into a 1960s Ford. Dude, it looks incredible. So
the not so mint rubber around everything. Next up is
the door latch. Oh yeah. So
we're gonna start.
Yes, I believe this is the episode that I say it 1,000 times, and you guys can publicly shame me and stone me to death. I learned my lesson, okay? I don't say it that much anymore. Secondly, yeah, so that latch on the passenger or the driver's side, I have no idea. They must have just used that. See this bad boy right here? They must have just used that to lock the door. So I don't know if the
crawled
lock's
up the
broken.
passenger
Yeah,
side.
seriously. So there was nothing on the driver's side door that would. I don't even know what it's called. Like, I know what it looks like. It's like a square little knob that once the latch goes over, you turn it sideways to kind of like lock. And so there's nothing on that on the driver's door. So I don't know. I have no idea. It gives it some fun history.
Yeah, I don't even think you can use it for a seatbelt because they're all bench seatbelts, right? Yeah.
All the doors, get them out of here. That's just going to give us more room, and it'll allow us to kind of break down the other 2 doors a little bit easier, getting all the door components out of there, things like that. And we're going to have to adjust the doors anyway, so might as well take them off and get them out of here and have the extra room, because this is up next. Pop out, and besides that, we'll have the interior almost gutted, and then we can start focusing on the dash. So
Also, when you get bid, I expect nothing but it to say nothing but to do it, nothing. Nothing to it but to do it. We should make hats for that, like
Yeah.
early subscribers, because I think you can see how long someone was subscribed.
Yeah,
first.
you can see like it goes by months. So it's like 17 months to 24
So if we
months.
find like the first like 25 subscribers of the channel or something like that, or how many if say if they've been in every stream that we've done or something like that, if we can look up that statistic and then just say, hey, these are the people that support our channel, we just want to give you a thanks.
message
it's
them.
not random. We
Yeah.
did this on purpose for supporters.
That's a good idea.
Here's a hat.
I'll message you guys. Did I annoy you when I said there's nothing to it but to it? Here's a hat that says it. Also, it's crazy how expensive that trim is on the headliner. I was telling Kyle, like a complete set is over $500 for all that trim that I took off. That goes around everything.
Solid fair. What do you mean when we get big? We're huge.
We both just quit our jobs today. What are you talking about?
Joe hit more subscribers in probably the first month he probably posted videos than I hit in like 5 years of streaming on Twitch.
God.
I'm not even joking.
Oh, there's Kyle sucking out that hole for 5 hours.
I think it was nasty. There's so many bird nests in there. It just smelled like rotten, nasty, dead bird. And we washed the inside. Remember that?
Yeah.
And all the Dawn dish soap. We washed. Ugh. I didn't even get hazard pay for this stuff. Oh yeah, this is when you kind of had your dad bod going on.
I know. A little fat.
I've had my dad bod the entire since the channel was born.
Have you been losing weight or
Alright, you guys,
anything
update
since you've
time.
been working out every
Don't
day?
weigh myself.
Don't care.
Update time. So we're still gutting it. We got the seats out. So we actually ended up taking out this door just for the sake of helping us get out the seat. This door is also super sticky. It constantly was jammed, so we're gonna have to do a little R&D,
Hey,
right, Kyle, to figure out why it was so. Just D. We're gonna have to do a little research and development to figure out why it was sticking so bad.
it's
This
slavery.
I want to apologize. I haven't really
Not.
been doing updates.
Oh,
just because
there it is. Not being
we
paid.
just
I can't. There's a
got
heart
downtown and
over the
everything.
last
So we
word
got
of the sentence.
the seats out. We still gotta get a couple of the seat belts.
It's
out.
true. You're not
We got the
wrong. It's all
headliner
fair.
out. Everything we.
I call it
like,
volunteered because it
seating,
makes me feel better about
overseas,
myself.
We got the sun visors out. This is all the trim that goes around there. You can kind of see the outline of it right there. We are getting a new headliner, so we just tossed the old one out. And so next up is we are working on the dash. So obviously this is the gauge cluster right here. I'm actually going to take this home and start cleaning it up, repaint it, and make it look brand new again.
Do you repaint?
We are going to be running new
No, I was going to
gauges.
because I thought we were going to end up
I'll
using
have
it,
a little
but
bit more information on that in the next coming episodes, just because I have to do a little bit of research to figure out essentially how we use the factory dash, but with 2016 Super Duty controls. So we think we have it figured out.
I'm trying so hard not
So
to
everyone
cuss.
that
Sorry.
told us that we have to
We
essentially-
figured it out.
yeah, we did.
We
We-
don't think we actually have to. So
Frickin'
I took
figured
out
it
the
out.
tester, and I've been
When
getting
it turned out so
some
well, I
red
have people on Instagram
back
saying,
pads.
"Oh, can I buy one of those?" And I'm like, "No."
No offense to second gen fans, but this literally looks almost as bad as the second gen Cummins dash pad. So,
Which is funny. We literally show me my third gen. Crack.
How we like the factory look. It looks really sleek. It looks really clean. Obviously, it's dirty right now, but it's got some nice paint. This has probably been on it its whole entire life because this dash is no dents, no dings, no scratches. Like
The dash is actually pretty nice.
So
It is.
we're gonna run. Actually, you can tell us right now in the comments. Do you guys like dash pad or do you guys like no dash pad, just the metal? It's actually kind of cool. You almost half and half. I'll give you guys a little hint. We're gonna go with this way.
Do we want the
I
bird poop
like
or
how
do we
sleek
not
and
want the bird
realistic
poop?
it looks,
To
but-
poop or
so
to
up
not
next
poop?
is I gotta get the
Depends
the
on
rest
your
of the
age.
bolts out to get underneath it to get all of this out. I just kind of broke this off, so now you need to come up underneath. There's
Be dozing off with my beer.
every
I
single
know.
screws,
I'm
they're-
so
they're
sleepy.
Bolting a nut. So if you're taking off one of these on your personal rig, that's how you do it. Just comes up underneath here, and yeah, there's nothing to it but to do
Ugh,
is start
shut
taking
up,
off more
Joe.
stuff and,
Shut up! Shut up!
see you shortly.
That'd be actually a funny thing during a video is have like a beer counter.
You would spend so much time going through every video
my
and
God.
all the beers that we did not film.
Yeah. Like randomly throughout an episode, be like, "This is our 287th beer."
Sometimes I feel like I'm a functioning alcoholic. I have definitely killed a 30 rack in a weekend, like 2 days, and maybe had one buzz.
Or like the other day when you were telling me, like, came home and had 8 beers. Like, 8 beers?
Before dinner, yeah.
Fair enough. I'd be dead.
And then the weekend we took the Jeep out. The weekend we went rock crawling. I think there was between going rock crawling and then coming home and then game night with the family. I think there was
All right, you guys. Update.
Couple alcoholic
there was a
beverages
lot. There
drank.
was a lot gone.
It was actually a lot harder than I was
woke up and
anticipating. The top
Sunday
walker
morning
was
and my liver was
easy,
just
however,
laying next
it
to me
wasn't
going,
really
"Fuck you."
that went across,
Hey, babe.
that kind of gave me a hassle. Anyways, there's essentially 8 grooves. Anywhere that's cut out, that's where a bolt went through from the pad. So you're gonna have 8 of those. Then this thin little.
It's not a
strip
drinking problem.
bent,
It's a
but,
drinking solution.
That's how the front was bolted in place, and there's 6 of them along the face of the dash. And those were a little bit tricky because they're at a weird angle facing back, so I had to get a swivel for my electric ratchet. It made life a lot easier because I could get in there and get back to it. So next what
I have a coworker. He says the funniest thing. So like your electric impacts and your electric ratchets, he calls them electric air guns.
What?
I go, Matt, that is literally impossible. Like no one has ever made an electric air gun. They're electric impacts. He's like, no, they're an air gun, but it's electric. I'm like, no, they're an impact gun,
Yeah.
and they can be air or electric.
Or a ratchet. They can be.
And he goes, they're electric air guns. He does it just to spite me
Yeah.
now, because I called him out on it. So now he goes, can I borrow your 3/8 electric air gun?
You're like, no, you cannot.
I was like, Matt, I every time I go, Matt, I don't have one of those. I don't even know where you'd buy one.
Ask the Snap-on guy next time you see him.
Sorry. Next up, what I'm going to do, there we go, I'll slow down so I can talk, is I'm going to take out the radio. This is old, this is not working, so we're going to get rid of it. We're going to get a new one, obviously. And then I'm going to clear this of anything we don't need and anything that's going to be kind of in the way to swap in our AC unit from the donor truck. So I'm going to remove the jockey box door. This locking mechanism is a little sticky. It doesn't close.
Jockey box.
So essentially, I'm going to tear it apart, clean
What
it up,
are they
remove
called?
all
I've
the
heard them
fixes.
called
If not,
jockey
we're gonna have to
boxes
get a
and
new
glove
one.
boxes.
But essentially,
I
I'm
call
gonna
them
take
glove
apart
boxes.
and remove anything we don't need, just the way it's not.
I
the way.
think it has to do with where you were raised.
Like a soda and pop type of thing?
Because I grew up in BFE, and we called them glove boxes because usually you would open up a glove box when you're out in BFE in any farm truck, and there was like a 95% chance there was a pistol and some gloves. and we called them glove boxes.
Yeah. I wonder where jockey came from.
I don't even know what it would stand for.
Yeah. No, I know, but like I wonder how it came about. Because you've heard people call them jockey boxes, right?
Yeah. Solid ferret, what do you call it? The glove box. Do you call it a jockey box or you call it a glove box?
I don't know why I called it a jockey box. I usually call them glove boxes.
I was just kind of curious.
He's like, nothing. I don't call it.
Yeah, glove box, same thing.
Yeah. Got me some latex gloves over there.
Don't be silly. Wrap your willy.
These are the odometer reading. I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know if it's rolled over. This is 22,806. I don't know. I don't know if that's the real odometer reading or not. But essentially, I'm going to tear off everything and we'll go from there. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's get rid of this old
I grew up calling it a jockey box and slowly called it a glove box.
Oh. That's fair.
Maybe it's a generation thing.
Yeah.
Like whoever taught you the term, as far as generational wise.
If it's like your grandpa or whatever. Or
Yeah,
like,
if it's like your grandpa, if your parents are like, say your parents are like in their 70s or 60s, late 60s, early 70s, I could see it be calling a jockey box, and then like, I know my dad called it a glove box.
I'm going to
So
go home and
wonder
ask
if
my
it's-
dad what he called it.
Oh,
I'll say, my dad's 67. You should ask your dad. We'll do a little investigation
Popped
for
out
you
the
guys.
radio. It was a lot harder.
how
than I
old's your
expected.
dad? Like,
I
I'm
didn't
not trying to
know
ask a
that
personal question because I want to know where you live and social security number stuff. I just
Where the nuts and
curious.
bolts are.
What do you look like? Why did you send me a
Generational-wise,
pic?
Essentially, you have two knobs right here. You pull them off, and you can access everything through there. So that took a lot longer than expected. Kind of embarrassing. But next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up everything. This is all trash. This is stuff we're not using. And then I'm going to jump underneath the dash and pull out fuses and everything else.
Actually,
Yeah, that is the motor.
This is where our AC is
look at all
going
those
to go.
fuses that were just
Completely
exposed.
clean.
That's not fuses.
Or all the wiring.
So this is a bus rail. It's kind of what they call it. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll run a bunch of powers here. And that's what this is an isolator. So it's probably made out of ceramic or some type of isolator so it can't go to the cab. And then they'll, wherever, if they need anything that needs power for 12-volt power, they just plug it into here and put the connectors on and just run their 12-volt power wherever they need it. And then they run their switches everywhere else.
Look how it's just exposed, all that shit.
Yeah. And this
All
is
of it.
probably like a relay fuse box. They didn't need much.
So that's not a fuse box right there?
I think this should be, but you could put, as long as your fuse box is in line of your power side. So usually your fuse box would be after this. So if this is a fuse box, your main power would come from your batteries to here. And then your power line would come here to your fuse box. You put your fuses, relays in, and then it would go out to whatever it's controlling. He's 42. Okay. Interesting.
Kyle and I are going to go ask both of our dads this week. We'll get back to you guys next Wednesday.
In terms of wiring and things like that, we'll keep it just in case. But for the most part, everything gets pulled out, and we'll put it to the side to save for a later day, just in case we need it. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's start tearing.
God, I'm annoying myself. I'm sorry, you guys.
What was I doing?
I don't know.
Let's see if we can see me just walking around watching Joe.
Just drinking a beer, walking around.
Like walking around the front of the truck and back. Okay, I do have to say something. The most annoying thing Joe ever did on this truck was he took all the latches off the doors. So now every
Nothing
time for
closes.
the past 2 years we've had to walk around this truck, we have to push those doors in and they fall right back out.
What about the passenger side that we just tie around?
Yeah, we usually take wire and we just tie it around because we're just tired of like pushing them back in. It is,
And they don't ever stay closed. They like start swinging
it's
open
the
every
most
single
anno-
time.
It's one of the most annoying things to me now because now I'll like go look for something, I push them in, and I'm like
It's
holding
hitting you
them
in
and
the
trying to
back.
look, and then it opens, hits me in the back. You push it back in, you push it in to get underneath it, and you go to stand up. You have to make sure you don't hit your head
Oh,
on it.
God,
and it's
yeah.
just all the time.
What are you gonna do?
now.
You know, what are you gonna do?
Remember when you asked me what this little guy was right here?
What is that?
You cheered to forget?
Is it windshield wiper fluid?
Yeah, it's a pump. So
Yeah,
you
that's what I
literally
thought,
push your
yeah.
foot, windshield wiper. So you turn your windshield wipers on, you pump with your left foot, and most of the times they take a crap, so they never got replaced or fixed, or the lines broke up top.
Well,
or
the whole
somewhere.
thing's so weird. It's mounted in there by like 1 or 2 rusty ass screws. All those air components. It's actually crazy to see how much stuff is around that steering column and up behind it. If anything, we kind of actually made more room.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it. Like, looking back at this video, we've actually... I mean, I
Pushed
might be
it in.
stupid, but, like, it looks like we have more room now.
All right, you guys. I got the last of the wiring out behind the dash, bezel to be exact, and
See, there's no other supporting components for the steering wheel. Oh,
So this comes down to that cross member.
Yeah, but remember, we cut this out because it can't fit.
Yeah. No, so what I was saying is, do we need to make something from the bottom down here back to the firewall?
Yeah, we'll probably just cut straight across.
Just go straight.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
build a bracket right
Yeah.
here because there's nothing back here.
Yeah.
'Cause obviously
Sorry,
everything
side
we
quest,
have-
side question Kyle and I
As
had.
much of the air
There's another
coming
bracket
out,
that goes from the
also
firewall
the random
to the steering
horn,
column
things
that
like
we
that.
cut out
Either way,
for the
I am keeping some of the stuff here just
the
because
dash
I
bezel,
don't
and so
know
we're just trying to
exactly
figure out a way to mount it. And
Ooh, look at this.
yeah,
Where'd that piece go?
I don't know. I bet it's in the back of the truck. But that's also why I have this portion of the donor truck, is so we can take that from it if need be. So, and actually, if you think about it, if we just cut this off and kept everything else, we'd probably have enough room.
Try and Jimmy rig the tilt.
That'd be
Column
sweet.
in it?
You get in and
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to, because we won't have some sort of U joint to put in there with the way we had to build the steering column on this.
yeah. Oh yeah, there'd be no
Yeah.
possible way.
Well, everything's possible.
Oh yeah, how much more time do we want?
and what we won't be using.
But yeah, I think if we just
Right
keep this
here is
portion,
for the
cut that
windshield
out,
wipers.
we'll be able to.
Now I did cut off the wiring, but I left enough of it that we can splice it if need be. Or we might
That is
have
actually
to
one
get
thing
rid
I'm
of the
super happy
windshield,
about is the way
logo
the
itself.
windshield
Yeah.
wipers
Probably
came out.
most likely gonna keep it just because it'll be easier to wire up this to
Oh, I wonder
the
what-
donor truck harness.
That went to
Just
the.
another
compared to
support.
getting
Yeah.
the motor.
It actually
Donor
wouldn't
truck
be hard to
fitted
have
here,
thicker gauge
stock,
steel that
or
we just
nicely.
have.
So we're probably
We
gonna keep
weld
this,
it
but I
to,
wanna keep
or not
the
even
wiring.
weld it,
Just
I
but
also
bend
did
Brett
keep
little
some of the
brackets.
Yeah,
extras,
exactly.
like, there's
It's not
some
the end of the
wiring down
world.
there that's for the cab
just to give it
lights.
some rigidity.
And so I kept that just so we can splice into that because the donor truck doesn't have cab lights.
It's wild that they welded these
That's
dashes
pretty much
into the
it.
cabs.
Everything else is
The donor truck should have pigtails off those sections that are fused together. Remember that big section? You're like, the easiest way to know if you have a Laramie or an XL is look at this. So you
Uh-huh.
figure it all out. There should be a couple wires in there that are for cab lights.
Oh, really?
So we can literally just pull
Wire
this
'em
off,
up and go.
wire strap to it, and they'll turn on.
That
the
is
marker lights.
wild.
out of the way. It's a mess.
So say we want to run like automatic or automatic windows, stuff like that. Would that same wiring harness be in?
It'd be in the door plugs,
yeah.
that we
So
have
we
to
just tie into them and
but we'd have to find a way to run automatic windows, and
yeah.
that's a whole different ballgame.
Well, they have kits, so at least that's. But it's also something I don't really want to deal with.
Yeah, but your controls that the 2016 is going to have, it's also going to have a momentary switch, and then also it's going to have. It just depends on what the kit entails and what the 2016 truck is capable of.
That's true.
So, because the 2016 might run a signal wire to actuate a relay that runs the windows, whereas this truck with the kit might just be straight battery
Just directly
powered.
do it. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've heard. So I've seen some people that do like these resto mods. They love them. But I've also seen some people that do these resto mods that literally swear to never use them. Just like, oh, just do manual crank. Like, it's the way to go. So.
You never have it break. And you have to worry about a wiring harness that has to fold in correctly and stuff.
See,
like
and that's
that.
the nice thing is like about about manual locks and manual windows.
The trucks are
They don't
the
break.
XL's
They don't
already
break.
set up to have manual windows.
So that's why I think we're
So-
gonna run with them. Is because they're just it's already there.
I need to organize what we're keeping, what we're not. Obviously, all the trim pieces like this. Trim for the cab or the headliner, keeping obviously. This from the donor truck. But essentially, I just need to clean this completely out, figure out what we're keeping, what we're getting rid of. Up next, what I do need to do is I need to run to the donor truck for a couple reasons. Reason number one was we figured out that this is actually a passenger side hinge, and that is why our door isn't closing properly. and it's because that hinge is actually backwards. So I need to go grab one from the donor truck, as well as I need to get a parts list of everything we do and don't have for this interior. And I'm going to make a list that coincides with the list from the
There's our
donor truck,
bungee
so
over
I
on
can
the passenger
hopefully
side of
I can have
keep
a
it open
complete truck.
or close.
Now, obviously, the donor truck is just a two-door, so I'm not going to have anything for the rear. However, besides the trim and things like that, I only need one door panel, which is the passenger side over there. Besides that, we have all the trim, we have everything. Obviously, new rubber, but I can buy that online. So hopefully, and my goal is between the two trucks, we have one complete interior. I want to do that before I start buying parts, just because there's no point in buying excess parts, and maybe we'll save a little money that way. So next up, I'm going to run to the donor truck, start making a list for that. So there's nothing to it but to do it. All right, you guys, we just got back from the donor truck. Now that this is empty, I'm probably going to echo really bad, so I'm sorry for that. But up next is
If you
we are
guys
going to
will
remove the
watching
steering wheel,
this,
the steering column,
remember to do
get rid of the
something.
pedals, and start working on bringing the
Usually we
steering column,
remember
steering wheel, and pedals,
like parts
and
that we have
HVAC
taken
system.
out that we forgot to
Yeah.
2016
be
Super
taken
Duty.
out of it. We're like,
After that,
wasn't there a
we're going
part
to
there? Like, no, I don't remember. And then we watch for these. Like, oh yeah, that's the part.
computer system,
Yeah, it has
where we want to put it.
A couple takes away from this episode so far is
Steering, the brace for the steering
the brace.
column
I was
back,
telling
yeah.
Kyle about it the other day. I was like, hey dude, like the donor truck that I just tore apart, like there's a brace for the steering column / dash, and he's like, oh, I don't really remember. And so this
That's
helps.
because I didn't pull it apart.
Yeah, I did. But then one nice thing is I was concerned about how big the HVAC system from the donor truck was up under the dash, but Kyle pointed out that the factory heater core of the 76
Sat
CrewCab
right on the
sat
edge.
super far out. So it makes me feel really good. I was just mentioning to Kyle, we actually, by getting rid of that heater core, the air brake system, all that, like we actually have more room under the dash now for leg room than we did on a factory CrewCab. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So if anything, it's kind of like validating our decisions, to be honest.
The whole entire firewall clean as far as we need it to start mocking up our HVAC system and our AC over there from the donor truck. We got rid of the pedals. We got rid of all the excess air components.
How many
brake
holes are in
system
that
we
thing?
don't
Could
need
you imagine
anymore,
trying to mount stuff to
out of the
that?
way. Kyle's been
Swiss
cleaning up
cheese.
because this is
Oh yeah, look at
getting
that thing
dirty.
now.
Kyle's
So
been
we're gonna
going to
be cleaning
town on
all
her.
this and get rid of all the little knick-knacky components that we're going to use, but we don't need on the dash for right now. We kind of want a completely clean slate, so that way when we bring in the wiring harness from the donor truck, there's nothing in our way. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's start cleaning, and we'll go from there.
This thing smells awful.
Dude, it had to have been like a lifelong of birds in there, cats in there, just like pissing in there and pooping.
That we had to see how bad the floors are actually rusted out.
They weren't terrible. Like they
weren't
sucked,
terrible,
but they weren't
but
terrible.
The
terrible.
pieces we have to fix are still a little questionable.
All right, you guys, update time. Kyle just finished cleaning the front of the cab. We did run into a couple pinhole rust spots.
Things look like I got shot by a shotgun.
A couple here, a couple there. Our big concern right here, though, is there is some around the cab mount. So we need to get that fixed primarily. Obviously, we're going to fix everything just because it's exposed and might as well. There's a couple more right here. And then there's a few spots over there. Besides that, there's nothing else, which is kind of surprising, but we'll take it. So
And they're going to ask. They're going to be like, oh, you have to replace the whole pan, the whole thing. This is actually, there's actually a lot of meat here. So these holes only got deep in like certain sections. So you can see where how it dips down and it thins out there. The sheet metal is only so thin. But you can see where it dips down and made the hole, it was that specific area. Yeah, there's these other pockets and stuff. But realistically, you gotta look at it. If this was your car, I mean, maybe if you're someone was gonna spend thousands of dollars to replace just everything and make everything brand new, yeah, you'd cut this whole thing out and weld it in. But whereas you just need it functional, this project truck is more of functionality and then looks second. So functionality wise, we just got to make sure the motor mount gets fixed. We'll
Motor
weld up
mount.
and repair anything.
Cab mount. Sorry.
You said motor mount?
I did
That's
say
a
motor
that's a
mount.
me kind of a mistake.
Whatever we can to keep it from rusting out again. But if it does,
Usually I'm buffing it out like that.
Yep, pretty much. So,
see, there's
yes.
a lot of
That's promising though.
metal there still.
So
Not like it's falling out.
yeah, which is your primary concern with Russ. If you can kind of stick a screwdriver through it, you're kind of screwed and need to replace everything. Whereas that, he's bashing a hammer up against it, and we're good to go. So I'm gonna keep pulling out the dash in the donor truck, and Kyle, what are you gonna do? He doesn't know. He's gonna grab a beer. So there's nothing to it but to do it. I guess we'll keep.
he's gonna be an alcoholic while I'm working. Look at you reinforcing that thing. And this specific thing just absolutely destroyed the GoPro lens.
Did it really?
Yeah. Remember on the 9 that was just like super scuffed?
All right, you guys. New
Between
day
that
here.
and
We have
grinding,
plenty of
'cause it's
light
right
to
there.
work with. Kyle was getting going on filling our rust issues in the floor of the cab. Essentially, we're filling it right now. We're obviously going to grind this down, but we're filling them up. Going to grind them down.
That thing
hopefully
sucked
that
to
works.
weld, by the
He's
way.
Oh,
got
There's
yeah.
so
a
much
lot of
rust.
good material,
Trying to get it to
and
not
felt confident with just kind of filling
oxidize
the
when
holes
you're
that we
welding
had,
it
grinding
was
down.
just a
We
pain in
are
the
going
butt.
to have POR 15 that will be able to spread out all over this. And then we do have a sound deadening material that we're also putting on this before the carpet. So we want to finish all of this out. We want to make it as sturdy and strong as possible. Obviously, the motor mount was the most imperative part because obviously that's what attached it to the chassis. So Kyle's been going to town on this, doing a great job. He's almost done. He's got some grinding and just whatever else filling he has. And I'll give you guys an update when he's done with that and when he starts jumping on the other side.
How do celebrities like Justin Bieber and The Rock generate hundreds of millions of dollars? It's actually not what you think.
How?
They
How?
make a special
All right, you guys, so we got this in the shop. I am going to clean it up really quickly. There is a lot of grass clippings and things like that from the previous owner. It was owned by a landscaping company,
Wait,
so
what?
I'm going to...
See the old field finds have a special little tree scent called mouse orgy.
Yeah, this one definitely had it. Well, actually, more like a bird orgy. Those pockets in here just had nest after nest, and then the one had like multiple baby chicks that were just roasted.
You ever been in the attic, in like the rafters attic section of like a old dairy barn? That
Yeah.
That was kind of the smell.
clean this up. Now, I'm not gonna wash it or anything like that, but there's a lot of dirt, residue, and grass clippings that I would rather have off of this before we install it and start mocking it up. So I'm gonna do that really quickly, and after that, we're gonna get some measurements.
Could you imagine
start
how
moving
fast
inside the
or how
truck,
much further along
and,
this project would have been if this
hopefully
fit like
things
perfectly up
line
under
up
there the
I
first
a
try?
little bit in our
I mean,
favor
it
to make this go by quickly.
it was the
And,
right choice
hopefully by the end
to
of
do
the
that,
day, we
to
have
swap out
a
firewalls, but like it's kind of crazy to
1976
think about.
F750 CrewCab with AC and heat. So fingers crossed, whoop, thumbs up, whatever. There's nothing to it but to do it. Let's get cleaning.
This probably took all of like 2 seconds for us to figure out. Nope, that's not gonna
To
work.
cry about it. Dude, I was showing my nephew and his friend the defroster and how it fits perfectly in the dash, dude. They were like blowing away their pants, dude.
Really?
I mean, it's legit. Like what we did with that, we plastic welded it and everything. Oh my gosh.
All right, you guys, update time.
It doesn't fit.
We ran into somewhat of an issue. This AC unit
Somewhat of an
here
issue.
for everything like that is much wider because the dash in the 16 is a lot bigger than this dash and this firewall setup. So what we are going to do is we are actually going to remove the full dash, get it out of here, and replace the firewall in this truck with the 16 firewall. And that'll do a number of things. One thing it'll do is it'll get us the natural contour of the firewall that will match up with this perfectly. We'll be able to bolt it right back in, perfectly in place, things like that. And that'll also do another thing, which will eat up some of our space in the engine bay. In the 2016, it comes out a lot more from here at this point over and out. And that will give us the adequate amount of space for this AC and heating system to be pushed back and up into the dash. Another thing that'll do for us is, Kyle brought this up, the firewall. Sorry guys, my battery died. Anyways, Kyle brought up a good point. With the firewall that we switch over from the donor truck into here, we'll be able to use all of the factory holes, bolt hole locations, everything for when we swap over things like the gas pedal, the brake pedal, emergency brake, the brake booster. Literally the list goes on and on and on. So the swap is actually not that bad of a deal. It is in retrospect to getting this project done because it's going to put us back a couple weeks and things like that. But I think overall,
Were you saying this a year ago?
For us, just because it will give us the space and the ability to have AC and heater in here. It's going to make our life a lot easier because we won't have to manufacture and mock up brackets for everything that we swap over from the donor truck into here. And then lastly, I want to point out is I discovered this the other day. I don't know if I'll be able to show it. Let's see. Right there, along this whole entire firewall, there is some water damage. There's the beginning of rust. Obviously, it hasn't rusted through. I assume that is from this bad boy right here. Obviously, water comes in and it diverts it. That's what I assume how the water damage started. So it'll actually be kind of nice to cut that out. We can pretty much.
Also, rust didn't really help these cars because, moisture. The thing with defrost nowadays is they actually run your AC pump to run Freon to get it to have a different temperature range. So you pull the cold air in on a cold day, it goes through your heater core and then through it goes through your AC core, then through your heater core. And what that does by making it go from colder than hot is it actually dries the air. So you don't get this heat or this hot moisture in the cab. It's dry heat. That's why like newer cars, when you have to run the defrost for a long time, it'll actually start to dry at rise because it's hitting the windshield and coming back towards your face. So kind of the same concept here. Some of these rusty components in here, they didn't have, the defrost with the AC system to dry that air. So it was just warm moisture
Thing.
that was in the cab at that point.
So they're like, your firewall will rust out at some point.
Potentially, yeah.
Seal it back up with all the seam sealer because we have to seam seal all the stuff that we took off, and we can really make sure that any water that does get in there, it doesn't affect our firewall or any welds or new metal kind of going forward from here. So that's where we're at right now. We need to take out this dashboard, and essentially once we pull that out, we can assess, take measurements, figure out exactly where we're going to cut our firewall out, and we can go from there. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's take this bad boy out and keep chugging along.
Building your online business?
Yes.
Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a single integrated platform.
Nothing like having to take out your windshield to take out your dash. That actually didn't too long. And then we realized it was just completely rusted out.
Is that clean shaven Joe right there?
Yeah, look at that, man.
All right, you guys, update time. In order for us to take out the dash, there are just a couple bolts up underneath it, but the big thing that holds it in place is all of these spot welds where the windshield is. So we had to take out the windshield, and when we did that, we also discovered there is some major rust issues along that, which it hasn't progressed into the ceiling or the roof or anything like that, so or down these pillars. So that is kind of a silver lining. So we will be cutting these out. We'll probably just cut it out here on each side, get rid of it with either angle iron or the donor truck, get a piece back in it, re-weld it back into place, and that'll be taken care of. So up next is Kyle's going to cut the dash out. I'm going to go out to the donor truck, and I am going to get everything that we don't need in the dash area out of there, put it in the back seat, so that way everything is completely clean, completely ready for us to get the firewall out. So there's nothing to it but to do it. Let's start cutting away.
Why did I say it so much?
All right, you guys,
Boom.
update time. Kyle knocked this out of the park.
Oh, there's that piece.
The whole entire dash has been cut out. We have a completely bare, besides the tools in the shop vac and light that we are using, a completely bare cab, which is kind of crazy to think about, kind of where we started. But yeah, here it is. We probably should have done a new firewall regardless if we were going to use the donor trucks or not. And the reason being for that is we have all the factory holes from the F750, all the factory holes from 1976. Well, when we start puncturing this firewall for the new components, new pedals, AC, all the wiring harnesses, everything like that, when we start puncturing holes for those things in this firewall, you're going to lose so much integrity because it'll be essentially Swiss cheese. This thing has so many holes in it already, all the way through, which obviously it was sufficient enough for the truck before we did the swap. But when we do all new holes for what we need done, there's just going to be holes everywhere. So regardless if we are going to use the donor truck's factory firewall or not, this kind of needs to be redone no matter what. So we probably should have done this firsthand. We are ignorant. This is our first time doing something like this. So, at the end of the day, you live and you learn, right? So that's pretty much it for today. There's nothing more else we can do besides tackling the monster of cutting out both firewalls. We still need to clean out the donor truck a little bit more to be able to cut that firewall out, take measurements. And so, but for now, the inside of this cab, we're going to clean it out a little bit, but this is essentially 100% gutted. Everything is out of here. We are now officially ready to kind of move forward with the firewall, get everything mocked up in terms of AC and heat, and God, what a project this is. But it'll work out in the end. It'll be awesome. It'll be super cool, one of a kind. So that's all we have. All right, you guys, that's going to be a wrap for today's episode. We got the entire interior of this truck gutted. It's unfortunately we didn't get the AC system installed or at least mocked up, but that's the name of the game. Sometimes things go as planned, sometimes it doesn't. So the next episode, we're going to cut out the firewall of both trucks, get the new one from the donor truck into the 76, and graft the two together. So keep an eye out for that video, and we'll see you on the next one.
Wow.
Wow, cow.
Wow.
Alrighty.
I don't remember a lot from that one,
I know.
but it's kind of nice to see it because now we get to see all the different things.
Yeah.
Man, Man, it makes me feel good about that HVAC system not sticking too far out. Yeah. I feel like we talked about so many random things before this live.
Yeah,
it was kind of fun.
An
off-topic live, but it was kind of fun.
Yeah,
talk about it. Thanks for everyone that jumped into the chat. Solid Ferret, and I'm scrolling up to see who the other gentleman was.
I remember
Classic car rivals. We appreciate you guys jumping in the chat. It's fun to answer your guys' questions and also banter back and forth with you guys. Sorry we are late. Like I said, we are talking business. Some fun stuff to think about. So I'm stoked, Kyle's stoked, and we'll just keep pushing ahead on this project. You know, got to get her done.
Stay tuned. Joe's probably gonna film some stuff Sunday, right?
Yeah.
For as far as shorts.
Yeah.
So you guys see little updates on there too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's getting late. We both work tomorrow, so thanks for joining our live. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Hopefully we'll be on time. But this weekend, I'm hoping to have another episode out, and keep an eye on that on Saturday morning. Or I usually post around 9 a.m. on Saturdays, and a bunch of shorts coming. So we appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you on the next one.